Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Commanding the Market. I'm your host, Nathan Hale, the MTG Librarian, and I am joined by none other than, drumroll please, Trent Richardson.
Where? Where's he? Oh, hey, how's it going, Hale?
Hey, man. How you been?
I've been doing well. Another week in the books. Another video to make.
Yeah.
And man, I gotta tell you, I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right out the gate. I was really, I wanted to take it back. My biggest pick of this entire series, Overwhelming Forces. We were told that it was errated, and we were like, man,
After
that's terrible.
we spec'd on it.
After we spec'd on it, man, that's really terrible. I felt real bad about it. We'd still made the needle move, which, was super cool.
Mm-hmm.
You ended up selling a copy, making like a $4 or $5 profit off of one of the two that you bought.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I want to tell you about Overwhelming Forces again, because the needle hasn't been the moving. So a while back, we talked about picking this card up. It was around $38. I think I got mine for $36.
Yeah, and I paid $38 for mine.
Yeah, I got in there a little bit ahead of you. So I got mine for like 35, 36, something like that. And there were so few copies available anywhere that we, together with you, our viewers, moved the needle on the card, raising it to over $50. Well, now the cheapest near mint copy you can find on TCG Player is 150 bones.
Whoa.
And there's only one copy.
And I did notice the next cheapest was like $400. There's only 3 near mint copies, period.
Yeah, 3 near mint copies, 150 being the cheapest. The next 2 are just, fake. They're just needle moving, listings.
I'm trying to remember.
There's only one real near mint listing as far as I'm concerned, and that's the $150 copy.
Well, I do want to point out, I might be confusing with a different card. It might have been a foil of a card we're going to be talking about here today. I want to double check. Yeah, you can get one near mint. They just have one copy at Card Kingdom for $64.99.
Of Overwhelming Forces?
Of Overwhelming Forces, but they only have the one. There's just so few copies of this card out there. And everyone's trying to grab up these really old cards right now. Mm-hmm. And there's just not that many of them. And I don't see them reprinting this card anytime soon. I don't see it. They did the Judge promo, and that was to errata the card, basically, and they moved on from it from there. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I see that card pushing up into that upper hemisphere and staying like it's been moving. So
yeah, for sure. So at the Card Kingdom price, we got a double up. So I'm pretty happy about that. TCG price, we got a
quadruple, practically
5 up, pentuple. Pretty excited about that. Pretty good, big news. And I know you got one that you just recently sold. I'll let you go ahead and talk about that one.
Yeah. So continuing with the realm of, and again, I don't really enjoy selling reserveless cards, but for the purpose of the show, I'm selling occasional ones that I have multiple copies of, especially just to recoup my initial expenses and make a little profit and then sit on the remainder, which is typically what I like to do. With the reserve list, I'd kind of rather just really sit on them because of the way they move. But I do like to note, I did go ahead and sell a Gate to Phyrexia. And I got $78 for it. And it was a near mint, maybe slight light play. And on all my reserve lists that I sell, I always have pictures of front and back. So customers know exactly what they're getting, because this reserve list, people want to know the real condition, because I've ordered near mint. I ordered near mint the other day on a hull breacher, and it got to me and it had a puncture in it. And I was like, wow. Really? That's near mint?
Feels bad.
And like, it was through the sleeve, but not through the outer hard sleeve. So I'm like, how could this have happened in transit if it didn't puncture the hard sleeve, but it punctured. But the inner sleeve and the card were punctured. So I don't know. I disputed. Well, I left a bad rating, but they haven't said anything. So I have a feeling they knew.
Yeah,
but any which way, Gate to Phyrexia, I picked up a play set of them. This is about 3 years ago for I think it was $80 for a play set of 4. And they are now going for a TCG market price of $71.91 with a mid of $172.43. I went ahead and sold the light play near mint for $78 last week. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so I'm sitting on the 2 best copies still because I sold one a while back for $50. Because it was sitting for the longest time around $30, and I was like, I'd like, it's up. I'm going to sell one at least, recoup some of what I spent. Now the last 2 I'm going to be sitting on for a long time.
Yeah, I'd say a 400% profit over 3 years is not bad.
Yeah,
not bad at all.
Yeah, and then still have 2 of them to show for it.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, so did you already you sold one of the other?
I sold one way back. Well, I say way back. When I first started selling, like it was one of the first sales I had. I sold it for like $50.
Oh, okay.
When the card first started bumping up, with the newest, reserve list, 2.0
Gotcha.
spree. I decided I wanted to sell another one, just so I could fully recoup and make some profit off the initial expense. Mm-hmm. I like doing that. Like I wish I had better diamond hands than I do, but at the same time, I like to take what I get and then roll it back into more cards to spec on. And speaking of, we've got some I've picked up in speculation here that we're going to talk about. You want to kick us off here?
For sure, yeah. So the first one we'll talk about here is Patron Wizard from Odyssey and the List.
Okay. You jumped down a little, but that's okay. We can we'll go with that one.
So played in over 1,000 decks. It's a wizard. It's a 2/2. It costs triple blue mana to cast, with the ability of tap and untap wizard you control, counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. So, you get to force spike something you tap a wizard, force spike. Seems pretty sweet.
Yeah.
TCG market, $10.19 with a mid of $13.32. Card Kingdom has 8 in stock for $12.99. Stark City Games only 1 in stock for $9.99. And Channel Fireball, only 4 light play available copies for $11.10. There's only 7 listings of near mint or light play on TCG, with only a total of 10 copies available near mint of the Odyssey version. So, very, very low supply there for Patron Wizard. Looks like Card Kingdom is going to be your best bet to pick those up in bulk. And for sure get at least, you're getting near mint. So might be worth it.
Now
there.
It was reprinted in the list. I do want to caveat that.
Sure.
But there actually aren't a ton of the list copies out there either, I noticed. I mean, more than of the Odyssey copy. But as we've seen in the last 6 months, as older cards are just selling, even ones that have been reprinted, we're seeing older cards selling for much higher prices because there's a nostalgia attached to that. It's the OG, the original gangster version of the card. And a lot of people, collectors and players, look for that. And I do want to point out that with Patron Wizard, it's only available in foil from Odyssey, its original printing, not from the list. And that foil copy goes between $70 and $130.
Yeah. So in 2, he's still waiting for your phone calls from Unsolved Mysteries. So, but I mean, if you're in Wizard Tribal, this is one of the strongest wizards you can run for sure.
Yeah.
And the price definitely reflects that. In the past month, it's jumped about $2.50. And at one time prior to the list printing, this card was as high as $55 during Hour of Devastation when the Inala Commander deck released. copies have vastly dried up in the online market, but you can find the Odyssey version under $12. And I recommend picking them up at $12. I mean, that's a good price for probably the best wizard you can add to your wizard deck.
Yeah.
Even Card Kingdom, $12.99 with 8 copies in stock is likely worth it. As printing is growing scarce, and the foil version of the card, which when you did mention earlier,
Yeah.
and the Odyssey printing are going between 70 and 130, and only a couple available to purchase online. So
Yeah, I think it was $69.99 for the Patron Wizard foil. They had one copy at Card Kingdom. So that if you're going there to pick up the other copies as well, you might want to consider picking up their one foil copy, because there were very few. And like I said, most of them ranged in that 130 range.
Yeah, and especially all the old foiling with the shooting star on them.
Yeah,
they're just going crazy. Especially with how bad our foiling is these days.
That's worth noting. Foiling back then was so much better. It did have some clouding concerns, but it didn't have the curling issue.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you can still find foils that have been sitting in a box for years back, before they changed the foiling.
Yeah.
Still sharp as an arrow, straight as an arrow. So they might be a little dingy, but they're still straight. So.
Yeah. So
what else we got?
Well, I'm going to jump to the next one, then we'll jump back up to those other two. They're less exciting anyway. So this next one here, I have a lot of high expectation for this card, and that card is Bloodline Necromancer. For 4 and a black, you get a vampire wizard, so 2 very important tribes there. It's a 3/2 body with lifelink. But when Bloodline Necromancer enters the battlefield, you may return target vampire or wizard creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So a very effective ability, very abusable in the colors of black, and also if you're in Wizard's Blue with flicker effects and reanimate effects, you can get a lot of value off of this card. I run it in both and this originally came and only printed in the Commander 2017 decks for Edgar Markov and Anala. Henceforth, it's a quote-unquote uncommon because it was in 2 of the 4 decks. But I want to point something out. Those 2017 Commander decks are really expensive now. And part of that's because there was apparently a warehouse fire, and a large quantity of the decks were actually destroyed. So it was underrepresented in the market.
Wow.
And there are also printed some of the best cards we've seen in Commander in quite some time.
For sure.
Definitely for Tribal. Now, it's currently played in over 3,300 decks with a TCG market price of $292 and a mid of $279. Card Kingdom is out of stock at $229. Star City Games, put a pin in this, is out of stock at $1.49. And Channel Fireball has 8 in stock at $2.40. Now, TCG has virtually no bulk copies available and few singles. 2 bulk listings total, the cheapest $1.99 with $3 shipping. And that was 4 copies. So you can get these, and you could, if you bought all 4, you could pay $2.25 a piece for them. That's your best bet, but that's only going to get you 4 copies. There's just actually not that many copies available out there. And this card double dips on tribes, supporting both wizards and vampires. And we've got Strixhaven coming out here soon, which is going to focus heavily on wizards. And then later this year, we're returning to Innistrad, and we're going to see a return of more vampires and interest in vampires and Vampire Tribe. So I expect this card to be double dipping in both of those tribes with new decks being built this year. And seeing that there's already so few copies available, I really expect this card is going to skyrocket. In just the past month, it's already jumped 70 cents. And like I'd said about Star City Games, they had 9 copies when I looked at this for $1.49 a piece. I snatched those up right away because at that price I couldn't not. So I got mine copies after shipping for about $1.90, and I felt that was a steal. I wouldn't be surprised, barring a reprint, and it's possible in one of the Commander products this year that they'll reprint this card, since we're going to see vampires and wizards, and likely something around each of those tribes in the Commander decks. We don't know that for certain, but there's a pretty good chance. I wouldn't be surprised if this got reprinted. But that being said, if it dodges reprint, this card will easily be between $6 and $10 by the end of the year. Very likely higher than that. This is currently, there's less copies of this card than of the Dwarven Blood Boiler, and we saw what that card did.
Sure.
It ended up in the $20 plus range rather quickly.
Yeah, good pickup. 9 copies. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
So let's
I noticed you didn't say anything about it on Discord.
That was literally today. So we're a little behind. I had 3 specs, and then I wasn't happy. I wanted one more, and I kept doing some digging. Went down the wizard rabbit hole, if you will, and managed to pull this out of my hat. And the moment I saw it, I said, like, pulling the trigger. I didn't see any more good deals on there, so as far as he's concerned for immediate pickup outside of, honestly, Channel Fireball, the 8 for $240, I think is still a good pickup. It's still falling under the market and the mid. And since you could buy all 8, that you can spread the cost of shipping out essentially among those 8 cards. I think that's probably your best bet outside of the 4 copies in bulk for $1.99. I think the other bulk listing was like $4 or $5 per card. So it was definitely up there. So let's go on up here. Let's talk about another wizard.
Yeah, more wizards. Wizards on the brain.
Wizards. I think I just want to get my head out of Kaldheim and already look ahead to Strixhaven because Kaldheim just
it's not doing it
for me.
Not me either. Yeah. So Vidalcan Aether Mage from Future Sight. It's played in over 2,700 decks on EDH Rec. TCG Market has.
Well, tell us what it does.
No.
You have to read for yourself.
It's a 1/2 Vidalcan Wizard for 1 colorless and a blue mana. It has Flash, and when Vidalcan Aether Mage comes into play, return target sliver to its owner's hand. It's also got Wizard Cycling for 3, and if you don't know what Wizard Cycling does, you pay 3 colorless mana, discard this card, search your library for a wizard card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library.
Wizard Tutor.
So, man, that's
Instant
a lot of text.
Speed Wizard Tutor.
That's a lot of text for common.
Yeah.
So TCG Market 79 cents, mid 65 cents. Card Kingdom has 79 cents, plenty in stock. Star City Games 39 cents. Channel Fireball $7.70. Am I right?
Well, note all they have available are moderately played foils. They're sold out of all other copies.
And TCG Near Mint Bulk as low as 40 cents. In the past month, this card's jumped about 20 cents as people begin to prepare for the wizarding world of Strixhaven.
Strixhaven.
Likely to make Wizard Tribal even more popular. Vidalcan Aether Mage, a wizard with a built-in wizard tutor, will continue to be a staple in any Wizard Tribal deck. And since it was only ever printed in Future Sight, and we checked, not going to be printed in the upcoming Time
Spiral
Remastered. Expect these to dry up on the market in the coming months. Yeah, so pretty sweet common. We don't usually spec on commons here, but it's funny that we're having to kind of dig into the well right now because, man, there's not a lot of things to spec on right now.
Well, it's just because the market's so crazy where the prices are going.
Yeah, the market's very crazy. everything we think about specking on the very next day, it's up, $2 or $3. So at that point, it's not even worth, taking into consideration. We've got huge influx of Commander players. I think also all of these people buying into like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and these other TCGs and sports cards are kind of driving some prices right now, maybe falsely a little bit. I think people are getting FOMO on a lot of these things because of what they're seeing in these other TCGs and card collectibles. So maybe that has something a little bit to do with it, but also too, the reserve list is still just all, it's crazy.
Well,
it's just completely
and
crazy.
it's expanded beyond,
down.
and it's expanded beyond the reserve list now to just old cards. Revised cards, legends that were reprinted in Chronicles, things like that. It's just everyone's has this drive to get these OG versions of cards, and that's part of the reason why most times, let's say 9 times out of 10, when I'm buying a card that has multiple printings, I personally always choose the first printing.
Sure.
Because to me, that's the card that will likely hold the greatest value. Now, of course, we're now in the world and realm of super blinged out transforms when you look at it and your eyes explode full art. It wraps around the back of the card and slaps you as you're talking. Cards, so who knows? Those things may be worth more in the long run. I don't know. But
unless you're talking about like the difference between, like a mana mana vault, like between revised or 4th edition versus Ultimate Masters. I mean, Ultimate Masters is almost like twice the price as 4th edition or revised on that card.
It's caught up. They caught up, I think, this week. The revised did, but I'm not sure the 4th edition did.
Yeah, I just looked at it a little bit ago. It's still about half the price.
For revised, there's no way you're going to get a revised for $40.
Check it out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I was looking at the wrong thing.
Possibly, because I know that was the case a couple weeks ago. So yeah, it's a market price of 61, mid of 68 for a revised Mana Vault, and I think the other.
Okay, the other one's about 80. Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
it was at 40,
but it is still more than the revised. So that is worth noting. Which, Ultimate Masters of late has been jumping.
Yeah.
And
so is Double Masters. Oh, yeah. Not jumping hugely, but definitely making gains. We talked about Cyclonic Rift a couple episodes ago, maybe last episode.
No, it was a little further back, but yeah.
Definitely still climbing up $1. I think it's up about $1 from when we talked about it last. So still time to get on the train, boys.
Yeah. And we talked about, you were saying we don't normally spec on commons. We've got another common we're about to talk about, though it's much more of a long shot in my opinion. However, we did talk about a common a few weeks back, and that sucker's around $2 now, and that's the Seven Dwarfs. So there's money to be made in the commons. It's just there's bigger possible gains and there's bigger possible chance of getting stuck with a lot of bulk. So
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, this next one I think is, first off, if you're running Wizards or Merfolk, it is a must card. That's part of the reason I like it. Like the Bloodline Necromancer, this next card double dips on the tribes, and that card is Stony Brook Banneret. For 1 and a blue, you get a 1/1 Merfolk Wizard with Island Walk, woot. It also has the ability, Merfolk spells and Wizard spells you play cost 1 less to play. So it is a cost reducer for all your Wizards and all your Merfolk, which is really, really good because blue, like most colors, wants to be able to interact and keep their mana open, and if you can cost reduce your spells like your Wizards or your Merfolk, you have that mana open for interaction. Like the to a lesser degree, but similar to like the Sapphire Medallion, which if you guys haven't been paying attention to the medallions, those suckers are pushing $50 now.
Yep.
I know we talked about them on the show briefly. We thought they were going to reprint in Commander Legends, and they didn't. I think a lot of people thought that, and they jumped from the $20-$25 range up to 50 plus. They are in sore need of a reprint. I'm still leery to pull the trigger on them just because, I mean, I have right now the copies I need, but I'm leery to ever pull trigger on those just because I think they're gonna see a reprint. I believe in the next year or this year. They need to be. But Stony Brook Manaret. Now it is printed in Morningtide, a traditionally, well, as you all know, underprinted set, under open set, but it's also in the list, and that's what makes this such a long shot here. It's played in nearly 4,000 decks, and the TCG market price on this common card is $1.20 with a mid of $1.21, so they're right next to each other there in price. Now, Card Kingdom has 5 in stock for 79 cents. Star City Games has a bunch in stock for 75 cents. And Channel Fireball only has 1 light play copy in stock for 70 cents. And you can get bulk on TCG Player near mint for 98 cents. Now, this card jumped to as high as $2.25 back in 2017 when the Wizard Tribal Anala Commander deck released. And despite being reprinted in the list, I expect this card to jump once again with the release of Strixhaven. Now, while it's possible this could be reprinted in one of the precons, the lower under opening in Morningtide, and I specifically recommend buying the Morningtide copy, not the list copy, simply because, like we were saying before with Patron Wizard, it's one of those, like if you go with the OG, the original version, I think long term that has a higher chance of value. Now, I didn't look into the foils, but this might be worth one considering getting foils on. It's from an older set on foiling, didn't have as much of the curling issues, and a lot of players will want to bling out with Stony Brook Banneret. So look around. A foil on this might be the way to go. Foil Morningtide. Well, it's only foil in Morningtide, much like the Patron Wizard, which is why if you can find a good deal on the foils, it could be worth doing on this one. All that aside, this is a long shot for the Morningtide copy, but I do recommend you picking up a couple copies now if you think you're going to want them for Merfolk or Wizard Tribal down the road. It's worth getting while the price is still relatively low.
Sure. And the cool thing about commons is you can go to these local card shops and just check out their bulk. I mean, they usually sell commons for like 10 cents a piece. I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
I had a feeling I'd be hearing you say that when I mentioned these cards.
Or Thursday, but it gives me something new to look after. Seeing I've been through the commons and the uncommons and rares boxes of nearly all of them multiple times. So now I can go look through the commons box. So it'll give me something to do. So we got a couple more here before we wrap it up. We'll start off here with Bolus's Citadel from War of the Spark. Played in over 10,000 decks on EDH Rec. Bolus's Citadel is a legendary artifact for 3 colorless and 3 black mana. Ability is you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play the top card of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its converted mana cost rather than pay its mana cost.
So good.
And then it also has the secondary ability of tap, sacrifice 10 non-land permanents. Each opponent loses 10 life. Go ahead and go over the pricing here before we get into it. But TCG Market's $5.44, mid $5.37. And you can pick these up near mint bulk around $4. But there's not a whole lot of listings under $5 for near mint bulk. Card Kingdom $4.99, Star City Games $4.99, Channel Fireball $5. So plenty in stock with everybody. Now, the reason I chose to spec on this one uh, is because it's played in over 10,000 decks. Now, it does have the drawback of nearly needing to be played in a mono black deck, but there
Or
is
two color.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a home in many other strategies running black. Um, Not sure if or when we might see a reprint. I mean, it was just printed in War of the Spark, which doesn't seem that long ago, but
Was it? But it was
honestly,
actually 2 years ago.
almost 2 years ago now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know if we're going to see a reprint or not. It's a pretty unique card, so I don't see it being reprinted in something as far as a just a core set or anything like that. But who knows? Maybe we will see it being reprinted, and if so, it's a bad spec. If
Well,
not,
I do want to note we talked about this card and specking on it like very early on the show, and at the time it was in the 350 to 375 range. So looking at that, it's already had almost a $2 jump from where it had been in 8 months ago, roughly. And I still think it's good picking up at this price. You know, it's jumped a 20% increase in 6 months.
yeah, just since September or October is around $4.
And it's a great combo card with Aetherflux Reservoir.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, Bolus the Citadel might be worth picking up. I mean, it's certainly worth picking up and putting in a deck. I mean, it's great. So,
Oh yeah.
you know, as a spec, not 100% sure anymore. Still, I think underpriced. It should be like a $10 card, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty easily.
Yeah, it's very strong. Very strong. You know, we're talking artifacts. We're gonna wrap with one more artifact here. Mind's Eye from Battle Bond and originally from Mirrodin. It is an artifact for 5 that whenever an opponent draws a card, you may pay 1. If you do, draw a card. So this is kind of one of the OG, this original gangster. This is how White's going to draw on Commander. And I still think it's a great card. Like, yes, 5's a lot. And people say it's 5 mana for an artifact that does nothing when it comes out. Well, yes and no. If you have mana open, as soon as your opponents start drawing, so are you.
Yeah.
It's very strong. And, you know, I think a lot of players out there agree with that idea, considering it's played in over 26,000 decks.
Yeah.
That's a lot of decks. Now, a TCG market price is $593 with a mid of $667. And Card Kingdom has them for $8.99. Star City Games has them for $7.99. And Channel Fireball has them for $9. So quite a difference there between the mid and the market as currently showing. Now you can get low supply of near mint bulk, or you can get near mint bulk for a low of $864 on TCG. But there's only 5 total bulk listings. So this is one you might want to pick up here or there. And because of its price point, if you can find them for that $5 to $6 range where they offer free shipping for orders over $5, those are the ones you'd scoop up. Yeah, it's more orders. It kind of, they're here, they're there, they're everywhere. But that's a good way to pick them up pretty cheap now. And you know, Wizards has kind of targeted this card to be reprinted only in specialty products like Battle Bonds, you know, and it's great in Commander. We see if they choose to include it in a base set, like when it was originally printed in Mirrodin, but you know, I don't necessarily see that happening. I don't think they're going to go there again. I think that if anywhere else, it'll be in a Commander product. Which we've seen, something to note, we've seen that when they reprint something in Commander product, it rebounds really quickly. Like there's just not enough of them out there to really keep the price low for long. So even if they do put it in a Commander product, I don't think it's going to affect this card's price over much. And you know, this card's, it's another steady climber. It's been gaining slow momentum since July of last year, and just since January has went from $6 to almost $9. And there's a card that came out in Kaldheim that's a 4 mana one that a lot of people were like, finally good artifact card draw. I was like, it's conditional. Either you're drawing a card or you're gaining 2 life, and you're only getting 1 card. And people were like, yeah, but it's only 4 mana. I'm like, I'd rather pay the 1 extra mana and know that if I have mana free, I'm drawing cards, because I know my opponents are going to draw cards. You know, it's going to happen, and then I'm going to draw. I could draw, potentially, a minimum of 3, a max of how much mana do I have in a turn cycle, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Also, I want to point out the Mirrodin version of this card you can pick up for around $10 near mint. So the price is not, the spread on that is not that big. So it might be worth picking up the near mint. I mean the Mirrodin copy, which I think has cooler art.
Yeah, I agree. I just was scrolling up, looking at the card. I was like, I like the Mirrodin art better. Yeah. Not that this is bad, but I definitely prefer the Mirrodin art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And again, like we're talking, man, the OG original gangster version, the original printing on these cards is really where I typically like to put my money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Well, that's all the specs we have for this week. And yeah. So slim pickings, but some pretty sweet picks from you there from the commons section of the store. Pretty good stuff there. Pretty good stuff.
And I do think that Bloodline Necromancer is definitely a hot pick with back-to-back Wizard and then Vampire Tribal set about to come out.
That's a super hot pick. I'm very curious to see what happens with that one, because that's as spicy as it gets on this channel.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be fun to see what that does. I'm hoping to see it pull a Dwarven Blood Boiler kind of maneuver.
Yeah. So I do want to mention to our audience out there, those of you still watching, maybe some of you have been asking for this, or maybe not asking, but I'm going to do it anyway. I've been working on kind of a spreadsheet / log of all of our picks, and being able to track those week to week as far as prices up and down, as well as a spreadsheet to list cards that we've actually bought and sold. So you guys can kind of see when we bought it, when we sold it, how much we bought it for, how much we sold it for, how many, that kind of thing. So hopefully that'll come in handy to you guys. So be watching for that in the next month or so. It's kind of slow going. We both have day jobs, so we got other things going on. But
I now have a 4th podcast, weekly podcast I run.
Oh, well, there you go. And so, slow goes it, but I am working on it. We got episode 28, and I think we've spec'd on over 150 cards at this point, or something close to that.
Yeah.
So, it's a lot of research to do. And, I've got about 10% of it done to this point. So, once that's complete, we'll share links in the description of the show notes, and give you guys access to that information if you want to take a look at it and follow along with us.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun experiment. I haven't seen anyone else do that. So you guys will be able to really see what worked, what didn't, our hits, our misses, and really kind of get an idea on how the market moves if you haven't been paying attention as to how the market moves. But how does it work? How does it move on the selling side, which is definitely its own thing, and most people don't talk too much about the selling side of it. So
Sure.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing that, Trent. And I'm hoping you all are as well. And we really appreciate you watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please take the time to do that. Like this, share it, and of course, may your card draw be plentiful and your mana never screwed. But really, if you are going to share this,
You should probably share it with your mommies, your daddies, your sisters, your brothers, your cousins, your uncles, your aunts, your mothers, your brothers, your sisters, your daughters, your dogs, your sons, and your little nephew, Todd, down the street. Todd works so hard trying to learn how to ride his bicycle. He just can't do it. He's got to have the training wheels. But you grease him up a little bit, push him down the road, down a hill, he'll get there. Just like he'll get there if you share this video.
That's right.
So thanks so much, guys. Have a wonderful week, and thanks for commanding the market.
Peace.